And by the way, I always like to take a minute, welcome some of our friends. Of course, Chinzar Sherman, who's the CEO of the whole company, Digital Media Wire. This guy, Scott Rupp, he's super smart, good-looking guy, good investor. You should hang out with him, Moritz. Ross Borden from Namco Bandai, Rich Melheim, one of the great futurists, Phil Ranta, Pete Arden from Disruptor Beam and Behavior, and Paul Warchowski, great investor. Got a bunch of great people tuning in today. We have Bruce Hack here. He disappointed to hear your World of Warcraft comment. My old buddy Maurice Scarborough, Mark Lewis. Got a lot of people here. Once again, I guess we'll go with this question for this reason. We got Rich Melheim is a persistent gentleman, so we have to ask his question because he asked it 3 different ways. What are you seeing in EdTech that excites you, and where does AR VR fit into EdTech?
Great question. We are exploring EdTech through a lens of what we call applied game mechanics. So there's a broader trend that we're looking at, and with examples of companies that are not playing in the gaming sector, but are using mechanics that we see in games, specifically mobile games, casual games around user retention, progress, reward systems that are finding their way into apps and systems, such as Duolingo is a great example for educational. I don't like the word, and we don't like the word gamification because it always sounds a little bit like force-fitting things to be gamed. I think it's much smarter to design assets with game principles in mind and with the goal to disrupt industries. I think Duolingo is a great example. You could think of Robinhood, for better or worse, as applied game mechanics in investing and in wealth management. Peloton is a great example for physical health. There are many domains that we're looking at right now where we see these popping up, and that obviously broadens our investment scope quite a bit too. So if there is a company that is solving problems outside the gaming industry but uses gaming mechanisms to do so, that is also interesting for us to look at. And that's probably the lens through which we filter a lot of the ed and EdTech opportunities that we see. With regard to AR and VR, I'm incredibly excited about it. I think AR at this point seems to me the most logical next consumer platform. I think we've been kept in the trough of the hype cycle for a while, and there's no discussion that AR and VR did not live up to their initial expectations, but we're also reaching a point where the technology is advancing to a degree where we'll come out on the other side of that cycle. And I think to look at what, at least behind the scenes, one can see coming from Facebook or Apple with the project N301, which is the pass-through device that's kind of rumored, and then the N421. I think there will be in 2 years-ish time frame a device that actually does deliver to the consumer what Google Glass promised a while ago. And when we get around some of the hard problems right now in physics around field of view, form factor, heat, price, importantly, and that's also why a lot of us has moved to the B2B side for now, most prominently with Magic Leap, but also with a few others. I'm always of the perspective that if something somehow works, way too expensive, little bit more clunky today, then it will probably work really well in 10 years. Just looking at how other technologies progress. So I'm optimistic. I think this will be a mass consumer platform, not next year, not in the year after, but if you pin me down in the next 3 to 5 years, I think we'll see a lot of interesting, affordable, well-working use cases, including from some of the larger companies for the consumer, not just for the enterprise.